nasan ba tayo ngayon? Gusto niyo bang malaman kung nasan kami ngayon? Abangan this Saturday, 7 to 7:30 p.m. ang first episode ng Biyahe na Zamboanga!
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Don't underestimate
the power
of a single
conversation.
It could change your whole life.
INCRadio Chatline.
conversations that matter.
Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of INCRadio Chatline, where we find connections through conversations. And today we're going to be talking about doing the bare minimum, which is like what I'm doing in the show. I'm not doing the bare minimum in the show, but I think that is an interesting thing. You know, like what is doing the bare minimum? You know, how do you do just the bare minimum? So before I give like my answer, I'm gonna ask Tracy what she thinks is the bare minimum.
Okay. What is the bare minimum? I think for me, if I were to define it, it's meeting some kind of baseline requirements and then not really going above and beyond that. So, you know, doing what needs to be done without going any further. Like there's no extra. I'm not going to exert more because I guess like for some reason, then I think in my head, it's not worth giving the extra effort. So it's just doing what needs to be done, meeting whatever baseline there is, and just leaving it at that.
Like when you think of like, let's say, like, you know, at work, you know, like when you get to the when you go through like the interview, you have sort of like, you know, they kind of run you through, okay, like this is like what you're supposed to do. This is, you know, like this is your job, this is your station, this is what you're supposed to do. And that's, you know, that's all that you do, because on paper, on paper, that's what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what you're talking about. That's the baseline. It's the minimum requirement, right, of what you're supposed to do. Let's say they tell you, if you're a part-time worker, you're supposed to work 20 hours, right? But if you're full-time, you're supposed to work double that. You know, but when you meet that, what do you call it, the minimum hours, you're like, okay, my work is done for the week. You know, like I've met like my baseline. Like I guess it's sort of like the bare minimum of what you're supposed to do. But I mean, I think it also applies to like, you know, like different things
in your life. And so I don't know, like Arnie, what's your take on what is bare minimum? What does that mean for you?
For me, I cannot say, because what you said is bare minimum. I totally agree, but I don't know what bare minimum is because I'm the type that always goes above and beyond.
Oh, you're a type A person?
You know, like what EJ was saying, when you get hired, they tell you this is what your job is. Mm-hmm. And I get bored. And so even though I do my job, I end up doing somebody else's job and all that other stuff, because I don't know. I you know, just to do the bare minimum for me, I think is not good enough. Mm-hmm. But then also depends on the situation, right? If it's something you don't like to do, then yes, bare minimum is good enough. But if it's something you enjoy, you end up doing more than the bare minimum.
I was gonna say, Arnie, like I probably would not want it as a coworker, because I'm also okay. Well, just because of what you said, like when you get bored, you do other people's jobs, and that's like the worst feeling for me when I met like the workplace, and I'm like, oh man, I completed all of like my tasks, like all of my orders for like the day. like what am I supposed to do with like this last like 30 minutes of my shift? And I would just pick up a room and just like pretend to
You start cleaning.
yeah, to this week because I'm like
No,
I ran out of orders.
and with the whole bare minimum thing, I see people doing it all the time where they do their job and then they pretend like they have more things to do.
Mhm.
So they'll stretch it, right? So it lasts the whole 8 hours
They look
when
busy.
they could have been doing more.
Yeah.
But no, they're just going to stick with what is expected of them at that time and do that. But I can't do that. So
I wonder what part of it like affects people to do that. I'm assuming like there's like a lot of people out there who start out like you, Arnie, where it's like, oh, I enjoy this. Actually, oh, now I'm done. Oh, can I do something else? But I wonder like what makes people like resort to doing the bare minimum. Like you said, like, I see this at work too. It's like, well, they did their thing. They went to their meeting and now they're just kind of sitting there, not doing anything else.
I think for some people, it's either they get burnt out
Mhm.
or with others, I think they see it's not fair. Because you know how, like EJ was saying earlier, where, he you would do your work and all that stuff, right? But then you're getting paid less than everyone else and you're doing all the work.
Mhm.
And then you start to realize, wait, why am I working harder than everyone else when they're getting paid more money and not doing as much? And I think that's when people start to just do the bare minimum, is when they start to realize that.
Honestly, I think for me, I didn't mind that. What I actually minded was like when I ended up having like more hours. I was given like mandatory overtime. And I know those two words should not be together, mandatory and overtime. But I was given mandatory overtime almost like every week. Because I was doing such a good job.
You're
I
too
was doing
efficient,
such a good
EJ.
job. I was getting it done fast, and
And that's
like,
not a bad
and,
thing. Like
I
this
mean-
means you're a good worker.
Yeah, yes, I will say that there is that, but like for me, I was okay doing, okay, and I'm okay doing the regular amount of hours. Like I wasn't in a situation where I had to. Yeah, I know for some people they end up in like a situation where they have to work, and
Mhm.
more hours is actually, being given more hours is actually good. But at that point in time, like I didn't, it wasn't a need for me. Working was just something that I was doing just to be productive, just to be productive and maybe earn something.
Mhm.
So being given like more hours, having less time for like other things that I need, that I needed to do, like it wasn't ideal
Mhm.
for me. And for me, that was like kind of like that was sort of like my moment of like, oh, like I shouldn't have, I probably shouldn't have put as much effort as I did because it was my first. Okay, to be fair, it was my first job, so
Mhm.
like I wasn't familiar with like the workplace, and I was just trying to be like a good employee. And
Which is,
so I was just
that's
like,
a
you
good
guys need
that's a
anything?
good
Like,
character trait.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you wanted to give your best. And I mean, that's what we're
Mhm.
supposed to do. Right? You
Yes,
want to
yeah.
give your best like in everything that you're doing.
Mhm.
Because you don't want to be seen as like, like lazy or anything like that. I don't think
Mhm.
anybody would like that label.
But okay. Well, on that point of like being lazy, because for me personally, I don't think doing the bare minimum is like lazy, because I believe in a sort of like you have to balance it, because I mean, for me personally, I get burnt out.
Mhm.
I realize that I get burnt out pretty easily if I'm, if like even if it's something that I enjoyed doing at first, like maybe I enjoyed the work at first, like I realized that I can get burnt out with like too much,
Mhm.
too much of it. So I don't necessarily see doing the bare minimum as something that's like lazy, because it's like like in the context of like a job contractually, that's sort of like what you're supposed to do, right?
Mhm.
Anything other than that is just you doing it out of the kindness of your heart, right?
It's just like you
So-
being extra.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, but for you guys, do you differentiate like doing the bare minimum to like being lazy?
I mean, like if I think about the definition I gave earlier, like the bare minimum is meeting some kind of baseline requirement. Somebody had to define that baseline. So being lazy is when you're capable of meeting that baseline and you just choose not to. Like you could do it, like you have the capacity to do it, you know you're supposed to do it, but you're choosing not to. And like not being at 100% and like doing the bare minimum, you're still trying. You're still actually trying to meet that requirement, even though like maybe you're not feeling like your best today. So me, like, yeah, I could see like that there could be a distinction between those two, but maybe from the outside looking in, it might look like the same thing for people. Like they might just interpret it as like, oh, you're just being lazy because you're just sitting there doing nothing.
Mhm.
I say lazy is not doing the job, period. Because if you meet the bare minimum, then that means you did something, right? But when you don't do anything at all, that's what being lazy is. Because once you've met the minimum, then technically you've done your job. So technically it's not lazy.
Yeah, it's okay. Think of it this way: like you commission someone to do a painting for you, and say they do the painting, and then they throw in a free, like they frame it, and they a really nice frame that they built themselves. Just at no extra charge. Like, yeah, yes, that's more
Sounds
than
like good
like
customer service to me.
yeah, like doing the bare minimum would be doing the painting, right?
Yeah.
And then giving you the painting, because that's contractually that's what you agreed on, right? So that would be like the bare minimum. Anything above that is like it's something that you kind of do to provide good customer service. If it's your own business, I get doing that, but like yeah, like it's once you I would say again in the context of like work, because in other things the baseline that you're talking about earlier, in other things the baseline might be blurry, but with work it's in writing, right? With a job it's in writing, that's what your contractually uh, your baseline is to do for like a day. So if you're meeting that, and for me that's something that I respect with jobs, is like if this is what I'm contracted to do, this is what the minimum that I'm contracted to meet, every day, this is what I'm expected to do every day, then that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna meet that requirement. If I have the time and the energy for it, sure, I'll even throw in
Throw in
a
the frame.
yeah, I'll throw in the frame. I'll throw in a little more effort, I'll exert a little more effort. But
I guess it depends too, like on how much like energy you have for whatever task it is, because like we're talking about this in the context of jobs, but there's like there's other things in your life that you do. It's not just like working. It could be like something that's like for yourself, like I don't know, like self-improvement stuff, like maybe exercise or eating better, right? Like there's like the baseline thing of like I must feed myself or I will perish. But how do I feed myself? It's like if I feed myself like healthier things, is that me going above and beyond? Like I don't know, maybe that is like something like that, but it's not just like in the context of work. There's other avenues, like there's other aspects of our life that this can apply to.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's sort of like when you get to those, like, because the thing with work is like the baseline is clear, it's in writing, it's clear. You know what the baseline is. But with other things in life, like let's say what you're doing for yourself, like exercise, there's like that's a verbal contract with yourself.
I mean, maybe it's with yourself, right? Like you make an agreement with yourself. Like, I mean, like we're still early in the year. People are still thinking about their resolutions probably and like looking at their goals for the year and like saying like, yeah, I made that contract with myself, but I don't know if I'm meeting that baseline for myself right now.
I'm seeing
And
Arnie
I think
smile.
it depends. I think it depends on what it is, like that. Like if you say, "Oh, I'm gonna go work out," yeah, I'm not gonna meet that baseline. No, that's not gonna happen. But if it's gonna be like treating yourself, "Oh, let's go have some ice cream," sure, you're gonna do the bare minimum of eating the ice cream, right? So I think for yourself, it just depends. If it's something you enjoy, you're always gonna meet that bare minimum and do more. But if it's a chore,
Yeah.
like going to work out, that's a chore. That's, sometimes you just don't meet the minimum.
I mean, I feel like I like that angle that you said. It's the whole thing about your perception of whatever it is that it would either get bare minimum or it's gonna get above and beyond. But we can kind of shift that and apply the same thing, like you said, Arnie, where it's like, okay, if it's something that's fun that you're into, you're gonna do the bare minimum and you're gonna do more. So maybe for like working out, it's probably just a matter of finding the kind of movement that you enjoy. Because like I don't like going to the gym and lifting weights. I don't want to go on a treadmill and like, go on the road to nowhere. Like that's not my kind of movement. I would do something else that's more fun for me. So, and it's still movement and it would still count.
I feel like I'm like that way because for me, I don't enjoy the traditional way of exercising where you lift weights, like you do all these exercises. I was just looking at, well, how do I kind of just do a full body workout that's not gonna eat up hours of my time? I know most workouts don't really last that long, but I was like, okay, like that's not gonna like gonna be a little more exciting than just lifting weights. And like for me, I found like I really enjoy like boxing and because like I like watching the sport itself. So I realized maybe something that I enjoy doing, and it's like something that I really enjoy doing as well. I got a pretty cheap like punching bag online and some pretty cheap gloves that I just found at like a thrift store, and like I'm able to put at least a bare minimum of like well, for me, my definition of like what we're talking about, my definition of like a bare minimum of a workout in a day, where I'm like, at least I'm not like before where I did not get exercise at all, where I was like, I
Just sat down the entire day.
yeah, I spent a lot of time just working on my computer or playing video games, and after that, what I do, I eat. And then
time to go to sleep.
Time to go to sleep. Like where I wasn't getting any exercise at all. But I was like, this is something I actually enjoy doing. And when I get bored doing that, I'm like, I try to find like other physical activities that like I enjoy, like like maybe taking a walk or like riding my bike. It's because for me, I get bored easily.
I mean, it's like you just need variety. That's the other thing. Yeah. And I feel like we can circle back to what Arnie had said earlier. It's like at work you enjoy doing a variety of things, and maybe that's it. Like but it also depends on like which part of your life is this getting applied to.
So, how do you pick? Like, how do you pick what gets the bare minimum and what gets like the above and beyond effort? I don't know what to call the inverse of like
I don't know. We'll just say being extra.
The maximum.
The maximum. Giving your best.
Yeah. Well, the extra effort. What gets the bare minimum and what gets the extra effort. Like how do you determine?
I feel like I'm still learning, so I'm gonna defer to Arnie because I'm still learning what gets the best and what gets the bare minimum for me.
I think for me, if it's something I do for myself, that would get the bare minimum just because I'm the type of person who likes to do things for other people. So at least if it's something I'm doing for other people, then I am going to go above and beyond, only because, the bare minimum might not be what they're expecting, right? Of course, they're going to expect more. And so if it's doing things for other people, I will put a lot of effort into that. If it's just for me, I'm going to do, like you said, if it's time to feed myself, I'm just going to feed myself whatever it is I need to feed myself, right? But if I got to feed my nephews, I'll take them out. I'll do whatever it is to make them happy, which technically I could have just fed them and that would have been the bare minimum. But I will go above and beyond because I know it makes them happy. So those, it just, like I said, it all depends on what it is and who it's for. But every once in a while, I learned that you do have to do more for yourself because, you deserve it sometimes.
Yeah, I would say, okay, this is like kind of like what your answer made me think of, like this thing that I've told myself before. It's just, like you can't industrialize motivation because like motivation is like, or like motivation, what you feel passionate about, like it's sort of like a what do you call it? It's not something that's always gonna be there. Like
Yeah,
it's not always gonna be motivated. Yeah.
You're not going to be motivated all the time. It's definitely a finite kind of resource.
Yeah, like like that's why for me, I'm not saying that I do the bare minimum, but I do like for.
But
the
we
most
just heard
part,
about it today, EJ. I'm just kidding.
yeah. For the most part, I do enough. I wouldn't say it's the bare minimum, but I do enough of like like okay, I was able to do one thing today that's like a little bit extra, a little bit of extra effort. I was able to exert a little bit of extra effort.
Arnie's
today.
like, no, I will
Like,
do
for me,
extra
that's
on
enough.
all the things all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's not all. It's not always. It's not always. It depends on
I
like
think
how I'm
because
feeling that day.
for me, I like to feel like I'm productive. And so sometimes when you just do the bare minimum, I feel like I haven't done enough. Like let's say, okay, today I said I'm going to clean the living room, right? But then once you're done with that, I feel like, oh, but what about the kitchen? And you know what I mean? And so
you're like, I'm cleaning anyway. I might as well.
Exactly. You already got all the
I'm
stuff
already
out.
holding
You might as
the
well finish
supplies.
it out.
Yeah.
I'm already holding the broom. Might as well.
Yeah, it's like I'm already vacuuming. Might as well get everything else.
Because at the end of the day, when you feel like you've accomplished a lot, I think that just makes you feel better. And it just gives you a better outlook on, oh, tomorrow's going to be a better day since today was a good day, kind of a thing. But I don't know, for me, when I just do the bare minimum, I feel like I'm useless. And I feel like there has to be something else I need to do. So
I guess I would say it's probably because of like, again, like for me, where I like for the most part, I with my jobs, I didn't like it wasn't something that I needed. I needed to do, and so my sort of mindset is just if I'm doing enough, then I'm doing enough. So like, and I mean, I will say I do kind of like to do a little bit of extra sometimes. Like if I have the motivation to do a little bit of extra, if I have the energy that where I'm like saying, like I'm telling myself, okay, like I feel good today. I feel really good today. I can.
First of all,
afford to do more
EJ,
extra.
you are young. You better have the energy. Okay?
I know.
You act like you're like 60 years old and you have no
No,
energy.
I'm so
I mean,
done.
because there were times where, okay, like for me, there were times where doing a little extra made people think that, oh, he doesn't have anything going on with his life. Let's give him more work. There were times where that happens. I'm careful now of like how much extra I put in.
Yeah, I mean, like it
a little
goes
bit
back
of
to like
extra here
what,
and there.
yeah. What area
a
of
little
your
bit
life
of
are
extra
you
here
applying?
and there. Okay, that's okay. I put in a little bit extra here and there, but like the amount that I was putting before, where I was volunteering hours of my time to do other people's work for them. It ended up with me being severely burnt out. Where I was in sort of like a cycle of regaining my motivation, getting burnt out, regaining my motivation, then getting burnt out because of like how much work I was like getting.
Yeah, it
Because
depends too on
this
like
is what people knew me.
the number of things that you're doing too. Like, I mean, if you have like, if you have like a list of things you do, you're supposed to do for the day, right? And all of them are a priority. Like that's not a good list. Like that's not like they can't all be a priority because that's it's just like if you have all of these things going on in your life, you can't give 100% to everything.
But 19-year-old me,
I mean,
told myself,
okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
not Tracy. 19-year-old me told myself, we'll figure it out. Like I can definitely do this. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, you figured it out.
Yeah.
You found out, EJ.
So that's what kind of like shaped how I looked at it now, where like at the most part I will meet the bare minimum of what's expected of me. If I have the time and the energy for it, sure, I'll give a little bit of extra because I do like feeling productive too. Like who doesn't like the feeling of being productive?
Like I mean, like the feeling of accomplishment. Like I did things today. Like I contributed to X, Y, and Z today. But again, like you only have so much energy.
Mhm.
Like if like for me, I have like like a metaphor for myself, which is like, I have all these things in my life. These are all things that are cooking on a stove, and the gas tank is me. There's only one gas tank. And if I crank 100% on one of the things I'm cooking, the rest of them kind of goes out. So I can't crank 100% on everything, but there will be times when, I have to like turn up, the heat on one of them because it needs to get done, and that's what's going to get the best. The rest of them are probably going to get the bare minimum. I guess, like, if we were thinking about going back to the question about what gets the best and what gets like the bare minimum, it depends on what your priority is. So it could also tie back to, how do you decide? It's like, what is your priority right now? What needs to get done? What is the most important at this point in time?
Mhm. Yeah. I learned to, I would say for me, I learned to assert my boundaries, especially when it comes to like things like that, where I'm like, okay, like right now at this part of my life, this is what I need to like to focus on. This is what I need to turn the heat up on, like with like your analogy earlier. So like, yes, all of the other things I'm gonna try to meet the bare minimum, and like for me, that's something that I am going to do. I'm gonna meet the bare minimum for all of this, all of these other things. But you have to realize that that's all I can do right now, because the gas is going somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's going into this one thing
Yeah.
that's like an urgent matter in my life.
Or like something that's really important to you.
Mhm. But for me, that's how I decide. How I decide, how I determine. Because it's like there was a point in time where I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out later. Where I'm like, I'm gonna figure out this thing for myself. I'm gonna figure it out later. I'm just gonna do like this thing for others first. But I realized I was falling behind, and I'm still trying to catch up. I feel like I'm still trying to catch up. That's why now I really, it's out of necessity that I have to set my boundaries, because this one thing that I have to focus on right now.
I'm gonna write that down. Like,
catch
okay,
up.
we're setting boundaries. This is another topic.
Next week maybe.
See, I'm opposite. I have to figure out which one I'm going to do the bare minimum, because I do always go above and beyond. So which one's going to get bare minimum today? So yeah, I'm opposite that way, because like I said, I always do more than is expected of me. And so, sometimes when I do the bare minimum, I feel like I'm not doing enough.
I mean, it's like the inverse of like what we were doing, like, and I feel like for you, maybe you're also at the point where you kind of feel like, yeah, you can give 100 something percent, right?
That's why Arnie should have been here last week.
Yeah.
Last week was like, oh, if I don't fix it, who will?
Oh, I already fixed everything before you could even do that. No.
That's the above and
I know,
beyond
it would have
part.
been an interesting inverse again, though. Like, because I feel like most of our answers were kind of like in agreement with each other. So it would have been interesting to see like the inverse of that, which
And that's why
I'm
we're
seeing
so happy
now.
to be there.
But if you enjoyed this topic, and like what we've been asking, or what Arnie's been asking there, in chat, like, are you satisfied with just meeting the bare minimum, or are you the type who likes to do a little bit more extra? You like to give 100%. Let us know. Put it there in chat, or maybe once this I know once the broadcast is ended, you can't really put it in the live chat anymore. So feel free you put your answers in the comments section, along with suggestions. Suggestions for topics that you want us to talk about, or like maybe ideas for. It doesn't have to be a full rundown of like, this is what I want.
It could just be like, here's what I want you to talk about.
Yeah. It could just be an idea of like, I find this thing interesting. And yeah, like we'll take a look at it. Maybe it's one of our topics for the next episode. So hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Hope you if you learned something from today's topic from us, that's all the more better. We do hope to see you again next week on another topic of INC Radio chat line. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
This is what I ask. Let me always dwell in the temple of the Lord till I breathe my last.